The biggest escalation in Ukraine's capital of Kyiv has come on the 65th day of the invasion by Ukraine, just weeks after Russia had said it is disengaging from the Ukrainian capital area, an area where it has no military objectives to meet. Russia has just launched a fearsome missile attack in the heart of Ukraine's capital. The attack came during a visit, importantly by UN Chief Antonio Guterres, who was in Kyiv when the missiles landed, almost like a message from Putin. Well, after the Russian attack, in the Shevchenko district of Kyiv, reports say that at least 10 people have been seriously injured, several more are feared trapped under the debris. US-funded broadcaster Radio Free Europe says one of its journalists also was killed in this or another missile strike in Kyiv. Vera Hirich died when the building she lived in was hit, reportedly. Her body was found in the building's rubble. The Russian assault on Kyiv has resumed after many weeks of a lull. Remember, Kyiv is an area from where Russia had disengaged. And just when residents had started returning to normal life in Ukraine's capital, that's when these missiles have landed. While Russia has been focused on eastern Ukraine, the missile attack on Kyiv proves just one thing, that Vladimir Putin is not done just yet with Ukraine's capital. This is a place where Russia has targeted in the last 24 hours, while the UN Secretary General has been in Kyiv, as you can see in these pictures. A direct, provocative message from Russia at this time.
Kyiv's still a dangerous place, and Kyiv is still the target of Russians. Yes, of course. The capital of Ukraine is a goal, and they want to occupy it. They doesn't have a chance to do that. Thanks for Ukrainian forces, for Ukrainian soldiers. They destroy the plans of Russians, but we see the risk, huge risk, regular attack, and right now it's main priority to save the lives of the people. For me personally, and we do it the best, but we can't guarantee the next couple of minutes or next couple of hours or next couple of days we have the next rocket attack.
As Russia has continued pounding Ukraine with missile strikes, amongst the latest attacks was also in the city of Kyiv. And this attack has taken place only yesterday evening, when at least 3 missiles hit this area, which is close to the city center, not very far away from the center of Kyiv town. Also a residential area. We can see that the rescue work is still continuing, and there has been immense damage. We will show you more visuals of the damage that's been done. What we are seeing now was some sort of a factory, a manufacturing unit, which is completely destroyed. Rescue workers here as well. A lot of people had to be evacuated last evening itself. And this is a residential building. We can see how houses are damaged, and on the ground floor of this residential building, in fact, was a small clinic, a little clinic meant for children. So this clinic was also not spared in the attack that has taken place, and Parminder will give you a very clear look of the damage inside this clinic. The staff here is making sure they can take out all their belongings. The equipment has been brought out, and such was the intensity that just about everything inside the clinic is damaged.
Okay. Let's go across to Rajesh Pawar, who's live from the site where the missiles landed. This is the Shevchenko district of Kyiv that has just seen the damage. Rajesh, coming across to you, can you describe for us what you're seeing? What kind of damage has been done? This is shocking. The heart of Ukraine's capital, Rajesh.
Look, Shiv, I would like to show you, if you see behind me this red building, which is burnt out windows. This is one missile attack. And here, just across the road, the building which is damaged, there's a second missile. So these two missiles landed on the two sides of the road, very close to each other, about 20-meter distance. And it's a residential block which has been hit here. If you can see, the mayor of the city is here right now, and he is addressing the journalists, and rescue work is going on. About 2 hours back, one body was pulled out of a lady from here. How many more people have died? It's difficult to say. No official count has been given so far. But let me also tell you that these two targets you see behind me on two sides of the road, one is a factory. Supposedly, as Ukrainians say, it's some kind of washing machine factory. But also my sources tell me that it was some kind of a military installation. And that is the reason now no press people, no journalists are allowed to enter inside this red building, which I just showed you. We can just have a look from outside, but it's totally sealed off. Nobody can go inside that. However, this multi-story building, which was a residential complex across the road, the rescue work is going on, debris is being removed, and they have removed one dead body in last 2 hours, and many more are believed to be buried under the debris here. Shiv.
What is the signal from Russia, Rajesh? Because, Kyiv has been sort of hands-off for Russia for many days now since the, tentative sort of disengagement from the Kyiv area. What are these attacks about? Is it a message with the UN Secretary General while he's here? What is the specific reason for this?
Look, Shiv, certainly there is a messaging in this missile attack. There have been a lot of dignitaries in the past 2 weeks, including British PM Boris Johnson, who visited this. And yesterday there was General Secretary of United Nations. And also a Bulgarian Prime Minister was here yesterday. And last night at 8 p.m., these two targets were struck. Russia wants to give a very clear signal that he could have attacked any of these areas where these dignitaries visited in the past. And they did not do it. And also they are trying to give a signal that in case any installation inside the city will be used to house any kind of military equipment or military personnel, then they will not hesitate to strike even inside the residential areas. And this area, believe you, this area is just 3 kilometers from city center where these two missiles hit last night. Shiv.
And, it seems like a pretty dramatic escalation, Rajesh, because, Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, was in Moscow just a few days ago where he met with the Russian leadership, where he talked about the need for a probe into, war crimes that have taken place in Ukraine. Now he's in Kyiv holding those talks with President Zelensky, and these attacks have come at that point of time. Apart from the messaging itself, does this indicate to you on the ground, Rajesh, that this could lead to some kind of escalation? Could Kyiv be on target once again now? Could there be more such attacks in Kyiv? Or do you think this may be just a one-off? I know it's difficult to answer that, fully, but what do you think?
Shiv, I think there will be not too many attacks in Kyiv because the equipment, main consideration of Russia right now is to stop these big consignments of weapons coming from NATO countries and America, stop them from reaching the front lines in the east of Ukraine. This is the main concern of Russia right now. And we saw, because of this concern, they had hit 5 train stations last week, and many targets were hit in Lviv also. And they will continue wherever they will suspect that these consignments coming from NATO countries and from America, wherever they will feel that they have been stored, or if there is some kind of mood in the city, they will strike those targets. And they made it very clear that they can strike precisely where they want to. And I think this residential area, which has been hit, and across the road, which this factory was there, I think this was also error in fighting the missile, because it did not make any sense to hit this residential area just across the road when they could have put both the missiles on this military target on the other side of the road. Shiv.
Rajesh, stay safe. Thank you very much for getting us that ground report. Missile attacks in Ukraine's capital, the heart of the city, not the outskirts, the heart of the city. A few weeks after a disengagement from that area had actually happened, and life had sort of tentatively begun to return to normal in Kyiv. So this is pretty disturbing, this development. We'll have to see whether there are more such attacks going forward. Now, the UN Secretary General, who is in Kyiv, holding talks with President Zelensky of Ukraine at a time when these missile attacks were happening, has been touring the areas around the Ukrainian capital and talked about the war crimes that have been committed. So it's possible that that's the reason why Russia has been mounting these attacks, to send out a message also to the United Nations. Here's a report on the UN Secretary General's visit there. The combat is now in its third month, and as the invasion intensifies in Ukraine, let's remember that one of the things that has allowed Ukraine to mount this spirited fight back has been Western support, including Western weapons. The latest is a $33 billion package, including a lot of military hardware that's just been cleared by the Biden administration. Take a look.
In what would be a dramatic escalation of U.S. funding for Ukraine's war with Russia, President Joe Biden asked Congress for $33 billion to support Kyiv, and the Ukrainian president pleaded with lawmakers to give the request a swift approval. Biden's massive request includes over $20 billion for weapons, ammunition, and other military assistance, as well as $8.5 billion in direct economic assistance to the government and $3 billion in humanitarian aid.
And we're facilitating a significant flow of weapons and systems to Ukraine from our allies and partners around the world, including tanks, artillery, and other weapons. That support is moving with unprecedented speed.
Biden's latest pledge of support came as Russia on Thursday warned the West not to test its patience, accusing the United States and its key allies of undermining European security by openly inciting Ukraine to assault Russia. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova.
Kyiv and Western capitals should take seriously the statement by our country's defense ministry that further inciting of Ukraine to strike Russian territory will definitely lead to a tough response from Russia.
That followed comments earlier this week from Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, who warned the West not to underestimate the elevated risks of nuclear conflict over Ukraine.
No one should be making idle comments about the use of nuclear weapons or the possibility of the need to use that. It's irresponsible.
In addition to his $33 billion request, the president also wants the ability to seize more money from Russian oligarchs to pay for the war efforts.
We're going to seize their yachts, their luxury homes, and other ill-begotten gains.
The proposal includes letting the Justice Department use the strict U.S. racketeering law once deployed against the mafia to build cases against people who evade sanctions.